Hey guys, hope you are well. Mandilaka here. Thank you so much for joining me once again in my YouTube channel. It's been a bit of time. I felt let me have a bit of a chat with us once again on the importance of us looking at our finances once again in the proper manner. It's mostly personal finances. I know that we loosely use this term because some of us don't really understand at times what are we talking about. Are we just talking about the income that you are making from an employer only, or what are we really talking about? So when we're talking about personal financing, we're talking about the finances that affect your personal space. We can talk about, yes, the salary is included there. We can talk about your investment income. We can talk about both active and passive income. We can talk about the expenses that you are incurring on a monthly basis in order for you to actually keep your life moving. And we know that everybody has some kind of expenditure that they incur, and it's mostly for them to keep alive and to keep abreast. So we then want to look at, how do I ensure that I am in a good space when it comes to my personal finances. And I think I want to speak a whole lot to how do we reduce the negative health effects our personal finances can have on us when they are not attended to. Firstly, I think it's imperative for each person who is earning any form of income to understand the fact that you want to build systems in your life. And I know some people start switching off the moment we start talking about systems, but bear with me, because this is a term that we have to understand. We have to build systems in our lives that ensure that we can get to a space and time where we will no longer have to be actively involved in generating income in order for income to flow or for cash to flow our way. What am I talking about now? Whenever we actually talk about finances and money, we must understand that this is a study where there are specialists, and there's a speciality attached to it, which means we have to make sure that we understand the laws of money before we can engage in money related matters. Otherwise, we are going to do what everybody else is doing out there and what our parents have actually passed down to us, even if they were not financially successful. All right. So where am I going with this? Now, any asset, an asset, when it comes to the accounting standards and accounting definitions, we have to use them because of they are the ones that are internationally recognized when we're actually going to talk about what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to address. You cannot have an instrument or an object that brings you money that would not fit a definition in accounting. There's no other theory or body of knowledge that addresses what that object or that thing that you have that brings you money that actually has a definition for it. So I'll call it an asset. So take anything. So for example, if you are a photographer and you have a camera which you use in order for you to earn money, that camera is an asset. If you are a let's just say you sell or let's just say you manufacture or you actually make t-shirts. Now the machine you are using to make the t-shirts is an asset because it's what generates income for you. If you have a car and you have an Uber business, the car is an asset, right? So what we are trying to do then is to get each one of ourselves to a point where we can have these assets in different forms where we wouldn't have to lift a finger in order for them to bring us money. For example, if you are a photographer, you have to get up and go unless you hire people. Now, that's actually putting a system in place. If you get to a place where you generate enough income to hire people, you have a system because there are people that can go and do business and then the money comes to you, but you have to start somewhere. If you have this car for Uber, if you can hire someone, that's a system, all these other things, all right? Now, I want to get then to the generation of income, right? So as to paint my picture wall. Now, this generation of income determines the value of the assets that we have, right? So, however much I expect to make from my camera for the duration of its existence. For example, if a camera works perfectly for a period of 5 years and it's guaranteed to give me income for a period of 5 years, however much I think or I can calculate that I will make, in 5 years from my camera, I have to present value that. I know that's a technical term, but I have to take all that money. Let's just say I could make 100,000 rands in 5 years using my camera as income. I have to take that 100,000 and bring it to how much it would be worth today. Let's just say maybe I will take the inflation rate in order for me to bring that money to today's value. And maybe we just say today that value would be 60,000 rands, right? It's 100,000 over 5 years because of inflation. Then we bring it to today, it's 60,000 rands. Now that means the value of this asset today should be 60,000 rands. Now, I'm going through all this trouble of explaining all of this to say we need to get to the point where we start investing time and money in assets that we can value today by estimating how much we are planning to make out of those. Now, if we are the source, if we are the asset, for example, if you are a speaker, you are an actor, you are any of those things, then you become the asset that generates income for you. You have to ask yourself, how long can I do this activity that I'm doing without getting tired for sure or without being injured, and actually make money? And you can then look at how long that period looks like and how much do you think you can make in that period. Then you can value yourself as an asset in the space in which you operate in, so as to say, this is how much you are worth today. Now, you have to take into account the risks because as individuals, we are highly susceptible to things like accidents, injuries, unexpected things happening to us where we would be rendered unable to still do the things we used to do. Now, you have to factor that whenever you're actually doing this valuation. Now, this helps us to think a little bit more critically about our finances when we talk about building assets that can work when we don't need to lift a finger anymore. It's becoming a very imperative aspect for us to consider. And I want to say to you then today, what are the assets that you're building? If you are a musician, are you sure you are going to be around long enough for you to make all the money you need in order for you to take care of yourself and your kids? Or should you be thinking about other things that you could put your money towards that would actually generate income for you so that you can at some point say, I can rest my voice and actually rely on the generation of income of these other assets? Because we don't have to be stuck on one route in order for us to actually become a success. Today we're living in a day and age where people talk about multiple streams of income. So this is why we're looking at different businesses. You could actually be making money from your employment. That does not have to be the end of it. You could actually start buying other assets with the money you are generating, your active income, use it in order for you to generate passive income. And this is just the start of this talk because I want this year to take time to encourage and educate our people in terms of how do we then ensure that we can actually rest earlier, because we don't have to work until we are 65 or 70 for that matter, as the economy is dictating these days. We actually can find ways in which we can use the money we are making right now in order for us to buy ourselves freedom. Because remember, I said wealth is the amount of time you can take off work and actually not need to do what you're doing in order for you to sustain yourself. So if you have enough money to actually take care of yourself, let's just say for the next 50, 60 years, without you having to go to work, you're wealthy. And that is called freedom. Hope to see you on the next episode where we'll expand more on other matters. Mandilaka here.